What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 24 of the Let's Talk Nerdy podcast. On this episode, we are talking Creepshow, Pigsaw, Human Abattoir, Beneath, and ProjektZ.
I am the crawling dead, a phantom in the box, shadow in your head. Movie director.
Jack Harlow. I don't know. I think he's more of an actor, but whatever.
If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.
You are now tuned in to the Let's Talk Nerdy podcast.
I love it when you talk nerdy to me.
That is from the band White Zombie, from the creative mind of Rob Zombie. I again kept it in the theme of our very second spooky episode for the Halloween season.
Spooky number 24. Because Halloween's coming up.
Halloween is indeed coming up, man. Are you
That's
ready?
crazy. Yes, what are you going to be for Halloween, Zags?
I am not going to be anything because I'm lame. What are you going to be because you have a child and I'm assuming you have to dress up?
Well, I'll actually be gone for work, but I'm planning on buying a Spider-Man suit to match him, but also because I'm enjoying the new Spider-Man 2 game, and I'm like, let's do it. Let's buy a Spider-Man suit. So,
and if we get to 650 subscribers by the next episode, Adam will do the podcast as Spider-Man.
I don't know about all that, but we'll think about it. That's a good idea. That'll be fun. The whole episode with the Spider-Man mask, the whole shebang. So
yeah, man. Okay, give us a little tidbit. What's your likes and do not likes on the new Spider-Man game? Because I am curious.
Likes and do not likes. Okay, one of my favorite parts of the game so far is this is kind of like not gameplay so much itself, but tons of Easter eggs that are fun to find in the game.
Like movie related or comic related?
Movie related, comic related, and just like pop culture related, a bunch of that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot to do with that. Another is like I like how big the map is. It's massive because there's Brooklyn and there's Queens in there now too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And then the traversal of the game is fast and fluid. Like there's more ways to get around rather than just swing. Negative. I'm trying to think. It's not so much like it's hard to pick a negative because I'm so into it right now and enjoying like every part of the game. But I think there's one thing I did notice, and this is like super minute, but as I was walking upstairs, it really wasn't like, it was like gliding up the stairs. Like that's the only thing I noticed that really not really bothered me, but like, oh, he's not walking up. Like, you know how like stairs is like individual? It was almost like he was gliding up them rather than, I don't know.
Adam, you're getting real nitpicky right now.
I know. That's why I said I was watching another character walk up the stairs. Like, oh, he's walking normal. I was trying to look at my feet, and it was like more like a glide up rather than like it looked like he was moonwalking forward up the stairs. So.
Okay, you guys heard it first. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the new Spider-Man game except for being able to moonwalk up the stairs, which sounds actually kind of sweet to me.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, like it's really not a deal breaker, or really an issue at all. It's just, and I haven't actually walked up too many stairs aside from that, but it was so funny. I was like, oh, he's moonwalking forward upstairs. But it's a good game. It's really fun. Dave, how are you enjoying Lords of the Fallen? Because you got one of those Let's Plays coming up, going on live.
Yeah, we got some Let's Plays coming up, guys. We started the Let's Play series of Lords of the Fallen. Oh, dude, it is tough. I'm not gonna lie, it is tough. It is a tough game. If you guys want to check out the Let's Play, I've been getting my butt handed to me, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the game. But like I said, it's a little bit of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. Episode 3 will be released very soon. And in that episode, I did have to make some minor cuts where I took out some boss attempts because the first boss took me a good 50 minutes. And I was like, there's no way people are going to watch me die for 45 minutes. So we took out some of the attempts.
Yeah, death counter. Put a little death counter every time you die at the bottom.
death counter is already in 100, and we barely even started,
Oh
so.
no! Hey, at least when I played Dark Souls, I never hit over 100. I only got up to 50 or something
Yeah.
like that, 54, something like that. So
Yeah. You did
Jeez,
much better
Dave.
on your first attempt of Dark Souls than I am doing in Lords of the Fallen.
That's all
But
right.
I do really, really, really enjoy the game. The funny thing about it though is the more and more that I'm playing it, I thought it was more of like a Souls-like, but it's actually kind of more of like a Sekiro, because it's very focused on being able to parry. And you know that is
that is not your style.
my style. I just want to go in and hit stuff hard, and that is not how you play this game. So
Yeah.
I would say maybe for most people it's not as challenging, but for my specific game style, it does not gel very well.
I gotcha.
But we're gonna make
Speaking
it
of
through it.
hitting hard, once I'm going back to Spider-Man, my favorite part, and like I kind of just got there, and that is when you're in the symbiote suit. Oh my gosh, he is extremely powerful. It's so cool.
Is it like OP?
Well, it's not OP all the time. It's like when you use your ultimate, it's almost like a rage, and like so he just like it's really cool. He
Let's
goes OP for a limited amount of time, and it's really cool.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah, the first time it happened, I was like, I feel the power at my buttons. Like I felt so powerful, so that was cool.
And
But
Spidey sense was tingling. How are
It
the
was.
suits? How are the suits? I know you're a big suit collector. Are you getting a lot of suits?
I'm getting a lot of suits, which I was gonna make that a video, so be on the lookout for that because we're not gonna do an actual review of the game, but my favorite suits are the top 10 suits in the game. So
That's gonna be
be
sick.
on the
I'm
lookout for
excited
that.
for that.
Yeah. So I have a few more to unlock, but I'm cruising. I'm unlocking a lot of suits, and have you know I've not fast traveled once in the game because I don't like to do that. So
Are you breaking your ways and doing side quests, or are we
I've done a lot of side quests.
doing side quests,
Yeah,
not
but
going
it's-
straight to story missions? Okay.
Yeah, it's a side quest on my way to story missions though. So if it's not in my way, then I don't go for it. So
Okay.
it will
All
be a
right.
game I 100% though. I will say that.
We're excited. We're
Yeah,
excited. for
I don't
this.
do that very often. So.
I know you're you're maturing as a
Yeah.
side quest gamer.
Yeah. So, but that moves us to our topics of the night, the spooky episode. October, man, it's a good time for horror games.
Very spooky.
Spooky.
Oh, snap.
Oh, wrong one.
It's alright. It actually kind of works.
Yeah, it did. But anyway, so our first topic, Dave, is going to take us away with Creepshow, the game.
The game, ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited. This is a game that I brought to the attention of Adam. Adam, do you know anything about Creepshow?
About a little as 0.
Little as 0. Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so guys, Creepshow is a game that was introduced at the Indie Horror Fest.
Yep.
And there's a little community that's kind of going nuts over this game, and then there's a larger community that doesn't know too much about it and why people are going crazy. And we are here to explain to you why those select few people are going crazy, and hopefully get you to join the ranks of crazy people like myself that are super excited about the game. So, in order to talk about Creepshow, we need to go back into time. We need to time travel.
That was a terrible rewind noise. That was awful.
we need to rewind. Was that
There,
better?
that's better. You know what it sounded like? It sounded like you were slurping spaghetti. I was like, Dave's on the show slurping spaghetti.
I'm sorry. Just guys, just ignore the last couple seconds
Yeah.
of the show there. Okay, but
That's funny.
In order to talk about Creepshow, we need to go back into time. I will not do the noise, but we are going to travel.
Sorry, I had to do it.
No, you're right. It actually is unsettling when you hear somebody do it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
all right.
I'm sorry.
It's
It's okay. We're gonna go back to the 1950s, and in the 1950s, there was a comic distributor known as EC Comics, long form Entertaining Comics, and basically they published a series of comic books from the 1940s to the mid 1950s, and their specialization was in horror, crime, satire, stuff like that, and most notably, they are the creators of Tales from the Crypt. Side note on Tales of the Crypt, because I did a little bit of research on this. Did you know that Tales of the Crypt never got an issue number 1?
I had no idea, especially because this is the first time I've ever heard of Tales of the Crypt. So,
You've never heard of Tales of the Crypt
nope,
with the Crypt Keeper
nope,
HBO series?
nope.
Oh wow. We have a lot to discuss. Okay.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. We're gonna go deep down the rabbit hole here, ladies and gentlemen. Tales of the Crypt was basically EC Comics' first little dip into a very specialized horror anthology type genre. And the theory behind these comic books was that you would get a comic book. It was Tales of the Crypt. And inside of that comic book, it would have a bunch of short stories. So it would not be a comic book with a continual running story. It would be much more of like an anthology of short, scary stories. And the idea behind that was that you didn't have to maintain any type of like recurrence with the
Yeah.
You could pick up issue 27 and you would be able to enjoy it because you didn't need to know what happened. And these issues were all hosted by the Crypt Keeper, which was their kind of host with the most, that would kind of
Gotcha.
introduce the stories, and he would do like a funny little page kind of one-liner at the end of the story to kind of wrap it up.
Is that kind of like how the Goosebumps books were too, and like the TV show?
Kind of like
Yeah.
the Goosebumps or like Are You Afraid of the Dark or something. Like it is a series, but each episode, each issue was its own
Yeah.
story, so you didn't really need to follow anything. You could kind of just pick up wherever.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this idea really took off. People really enjoyed it. So now fast forward to the 1980s, and in the 1980s, Warner Brothers Studios released the first Creepshow movie, and the Creepshow movie came out in 1982. And basically, what it was a collaboration between Stephen King and George A. Romero. George A. Romero did Night of the Living Dead. Stephen King, obviously, pretty prolific.
A lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty prolific horror writer for the time, and obviously still today. So people really got excited about this movie, and when the film came out, it kept the same anthology style that consisted of 5 short stories. And the way that they kind of put it together was they did this sort of homage to EC Comics, which both George A. Romero and Stephen King really enjoyed as a kid. So they kind of wanted to do, the same type of Tales of the Crypt kind of feel. So they did the same anthology-based stuff, and they had what their host with the most was known as the Creeper. And the Creeper was basically the Crypt Keep, their version of the Crypt Keeper, and would introduce the stories and do kind of like the funny one-liner at the end and
Yeah.
wrap up all the story and stuff like that. So this movie actually did really well. And the thing that I kind of really enjoyed about this movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but George A. Romero was a real big fan of the comics, and they really wanted to keep it with like a comic booky kind of vibe. So there's a lot of almost like how the Warriors kind of did that introduction and stuff like that. There's almost like the scenes in like leading into the stories like started as comic book panels and like really cool drawings, and then when they would like fade out from the end of the story, it would turn into this like comic book drawing. It was really sweet. If you guys haven't seen it,
Yeah,
you should
that's
check
really
it out.
neat.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool that it kind of like goes with the comics and stuff like that. But yeah, so then basically what happened is the comic book in the movie, the way that the movie starts, it kind of introduces this comic book in the movie, and that comic book actually came to print just a few months later. Fast forward even further, the movie gets 2 sequels. It gets a sequel in 1987, and then it gets another sequel in 2006. And then fast forward to 2019, the series gets picked up by what's the name of the studio? What was it on? It was on Shudder, I think it was.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the series gets picked up on Shudder and becomes a recurring series that's a revamp of the original Creepshow movie. And then here comes the game. So I know there was a lot of background there to kind of take in, but hopefully you guys will be a little bit more excited about the game now.
Yeah. Once we pull up the trailer.
Once Adam pulls up the trailer.
Yeah. 1 second. I'm trying to make sure we have the where to watch it. AMC maybe? It's not AMC, is it?
I think it was Shudder.
Well, I tried.
I do watch it, but not on a paid service, which we will
Gosh.
which
Yeah, we won't
will-
talk about.
which we will not discuss on the podcast.
All right, here it is.
Okay, so here's the trailer, and you can see already this kind of, guys, if you're just listening on the Spotify, I think you can really see the comic book influence in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
really.
this is supposed to be the creeper, I'm guessing, right? Like the guy that's narrating and stuff.
So this is, I'm not sure what this is. It's very spooky.
Spooky.
But yeah, they're gonna show their version of the creeper. They should, at least. Yes, on
maybe.
Shudder. That guy right there is their version of the creeper. So that is their
And it's
version
coming
of,
soon.
very soon. But that is their version of the creeper. So I'm super excited for this game.
So I didn't find too much on the game, mostly because I have never seen the show or anything like that. But just from like the animation and style that they put into the trailer, that has me excited. Because like I've been a fan of like these kind of illustrations and things like that. Kind of with the Hellboy Web of Word, that was one that I was really excited about the animations, and I think that this is going to be something very similar into the terms of like the game could have that really cool feel to it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think this game is going to give us very much that comic book vibe, like a lot like we talked about with the Web of Word, with the Hellboy series. And I'm here for it. And I think what could be really, really, really cool about this game is like we've talked about this. We talked about it last episode where the spookiness factor kind of loses its luster the more that things keep like happening and stuff like that. And I think this could be really, really cool because if they stick with that same anthology style, I think we're going to get a game that might just be like an anthology of 5 smaller games kind of wrapped up into one. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's kind of, I was going to think about like, how are they going to do it? Is it going to be like, you'll have those 5 different storylines similar to, it was like Visage again. You know how like you had different storylines that you had to kind of beat through. Are you gonna play as that same character over and over, or are you gonna play like different storylines and different characters? You think?
I mean, I think if they hold true to the series, basically what we're gonna get is almost like a cinematic movie, like a cinematic style of gameplay where it's like the game should open up and we get introduced into the creeper, and the creeper will do his kind of like narration, and then we would jump into chapter 1, which is like story number 1, right? And then you play through story number 1, and then when you've completed story number 1, that would be the end of the chapter. You jump back, and the creeper would like introduce chapter 2, which would be a whole new story. So I think it's gonna be kind of cool where like you're going to be, I think you're going to be getting like 5 different games that are very, very easily consumable. You know, it would probably make sense that each one of these chapters you could probably finish in a sitting.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
But I think it's kind of cool that you're going to get these like different looks in the game.
I agree. I think that it will be kind of cool. I like that when it's like, it keeps you like engaged long enough, or like it keeps you engaged for that story. And it's not so long where like you have to come back to it. Like you can beat that story in that one sitting, like you said, and then you're not missing out, or you won't forget stuff going into that second chapter, that second story. So I like when games do stuff like that because you don't forget what's going on. But another question, I think, do you think this is gonna be more of a suspenseful game rather than like a jump scare game, or do you think it's gonna have a good combination of elements of both? What do you think on where it's gonna go based off of watching the TV show?
Based off watching the TV show and kind of the research that I've done on the game so far, I think we're going to get like a very unique, very dynamic experience, because what they said is that it is going to feature self-contained stories that span across different types of gameplay genres. And I know it's a very open-ended statement, but I feel like when you say expand across different gameplay genres, we could be looking at like not only a change in the story, but we could be looking at a change of like a total switch in gameplay mechanics, which would be kind of cool because it's like chapter 1 could be like a first person shooter kind of style. And then like chapter 2 could be more of like that spooky kind of walking around jump scare kind of style. Like I think, you know, chapter 3 could be much more of like a puzzle kind of platformer style where you're like trapped in somewhere and you got to figure out like like ways to solve puzzles to get out and stuff like that. Like I think the amount of diversity in this game could be almost endless.
So at first I was thinking, oh, that seems ambitious, but the way you kind of described it, it makes kind of perfect sense on how they could do it. I don't think they can go from first person, third person, third person. You know what I mean? I think, or top down or anything like that. I think it's got to.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do something like that. But also, kind of just going off of it, that would make it perfect for like sequels or like DLC. Like add this story to a DLC or this. You know what I mean? I think it's a way for them to keep the game going if they make it separate stories, you know what I mean, rather than just one release and that's it. I think this is a good way to expand the game for future games, but also more like if they add DLC and things like that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a good way to look at this is, again, it's almost like 5 different experiences in one game, and you could literally just take your developers and be like, guys, this is the look of the game, right? It's a first person game. And this is like the color tone and like this is like the graphic feel and stuff like that. But outside of that, like just go nuts. Like make whatever story you want and make it be an experience that can be finished in like an hour. And like we could have some very, very unique stuff and some very, very different stuff inside the same game, which I think would be really cool. And like you said, this format is just ripe for like continuous sequels and stuff like that, and DLC content and like releases of like, you know, patches in between content to like keep the game going and stuff like that. It really is endless, and I think that's why the show has been doing so well. Is it's another show, you know, kind of like Are You Afraid of the Dark or whatever, where you kind of just don't have to follow anything. Like if Creepshow 2 the game comes out, you don't have to play Creepshow 1. You know what I mean? You could just jump right into 2 because it doesn't matter what happened in 1. It's just self-contained stories. So I think the idea is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think this is a game that will be interesting to play for sure. Just who knows when it's going to be? Hopefully soon.
Coming very, very soon.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So I'm super excited for the game, guys. If you never checked out Creepshow and you're a fan of like Tales of the Crypt and like, you know, spooky stuff like that, give the original Creepshow movie a shot. It's actually a really, really good movie, and it holds up, and I like the anthology feel. I'm excited for the game. Hopefully we get it very, very, very soon. It is supposed to be releasing on consoles and PC sometime in 2024.
Right. 2024. It stinks. So a lot of these indie horror, like, so all the games that we're mentioning today are from the Indie Horror Fest. It stinks none of them are out before Halloween. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we have a select few for Halloween this year.
I feel like this year, yeah, we have a select few games. I don't know. I like. Do I think they should rush them?
No.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. It would be nice. It would be nice to get a couple. But
well, this one we have. Let's see. We have Alan Wake 2. There's a couple others as well.
There's one that we talked about that I'm super excited about. I'm surprised you don't remember.
Man, we've talked about so many games. I can't remember.
Alone in the Dark.
Oh, and Alan Wake.
Alan Wake 2. Yeah, I was super juiced for Alan Wake 2, but you know I'm super juiced for Alone in the Dark.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. All right, now we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next game, which I know it's first. So these next 3, when I sent them to Dave, I didn't realize they were all first-person shooter games. I just saw that as Indie Horror Fest. I was like, oh, here's 3 games. Take a look at them, and then I'll look at them later. But he's like, yeah, those 3 look good. And then I pull them. I was like, oh, each and every one are first-person shooters. So these are more type of my games. But starting with Beneath, I thought this game is kind of up your alley in terms of like the atmosphere and the underwater, because I know you like that kind of thing. And so, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at the trailer. I will say, out of the 3 games that we are going to talk about, this is probably the one that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, but
Right.
this one is pretty unique. So, guys, if you're just listening, basically what we're looking at is a very third-person shooter esque
First person shooter.
Yeah, first-person shooter esque.
You said third.
Sorry,
good.
I'm getting like some Fear vibes. Do you remember the game Fear?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
So I'm getting some Fear vibes. I like the color scale too. I feel like this
Right.
has almost like the same color grade as like the Saw movies,
Right.
and that's a very appealing color grade for me. Yeah,
Very quick trailer.
very very quick trailer. But yeah, are you excited for the game? Because I'm kind of excited for it.
I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely very unique in terms of like what the gameplay has in store, which we're going to get into in just a second. But kind of just go into what the game is. Like you saw, it's a first-person action horror adventure game, and you'll play as Noah Quinn, and he is a veteran sea diver who's trying to escape the underwater world. That's kind of what the description said. And there's some pretty cool mechanics to the game that include. It's gonna be like a survival as well, where you have to like find ammo, and that to be like found like resources and stuff like that, and it's very hard to come by, so you have to like do it carefully. And with that, like its tactical combat is like you can't always go in there like guns blazing. You have to play a little slow or play it like stealthily. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then the dynamic combat system that includes like adaptive AI and destructive like environment, and I think so destructive environment in a game is pretty cool. Like if everything's exploding and breaking, I think that makes the game better. So yeah,
Adam just loves explosions.
I do love explosions. But and one more thing, a big component about the game is your sanity. It didn't say how much or like what that entails, but essentially like it's a mind game too, in terms of like your character has to stay at, I'm guessing, a certain mental state, or like it causes bad things to happen, which, like I said, they didn't show that too much in the gameplay, but they described it in their description and things like that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things though of why I'm excited about it, like you said, you play as Noah, who was lost at sea, abandoned. But the biggest thing is the setting. I mean, you are trapped in an underwater network of like science facilities, and I think this could be the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this could be like one of the very first horror games that we've seen that's kind of has an underwater setting.
I mean, I think one other game is it's like that survival game. What is it called?
Subnautica.
Subnautica. That's one, but I think this is the action version of it. You know what I mean? Like where you'll get to fight back and against other enemies and things like that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, because underwater is already unsettling. It's
right.
Like it already gives me like an unsettling kind of feel, and then also like bring in this like shock factor of playing a horror game, and it's like this could be really scary. It could be like really really scary, and I'm excited for it.
So one thing, I think it's gonna have a very scary atmosphere. I don't know how much this game's gonna have like boo in your face like scary. You know what I mean? I think it's not gonna have a bunch of like jump scares to it, if that makes sense.
You don't think it's gonna be a jump scare game?
I don't think so. Just based off of how much action is going to be in the game, I don't think there's going to have the opportunity, because you're always going to be like on edge waiting for action anyway. I don't know if there's going to be times where you're like, boo, like here's something scary. Like, yeah, I think there's going to be some minor things of like that nature, but overall I think it's going to come down to like the mechanics of like the gameplay, like the shooting and the combat mechanics.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is like 2 games kind of wrapped in one, because I feel like this underwater setting is rich with opportunity for jump scares. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like sections of the game that are much more about like traversal and worrying about your sanity and things like that, which is where the jump scares would come into place, like mixed in with scenarios of like ridiculous action-based combat.
Yeah, that would make sense, I guess. Especially like you said, like, because I don't think you'll be able to fight in the water. So I think maybe that's where things like that, like those monsters that swim in the water, and you have to like swim between like coral and like go fast
Yeah.
and like as you're
Yeah.
going through like a reef, and then all of a sudden, boom! Like here comes a shark and just eats your face or something like that. So
Yeah, because again, we're talking about a first-person shooter, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, can you really have those like underwater first-person shooter like battles? Like, I don't think
Right.
well, like what am I trying to think? What am I trying to say? Like in real life, that doesn't work.
right,
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you can't shoot a gun underwater.
Yeah,
and have it,
yeah.
like, yeah. So I feel like in those situations, it might be much more of a different game where you're worried about, maybe it's more of like a run, get away kind of thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think mixing those two genres together could work really, really well because I don't think you'll get bored of either.
Yeah, I agree. And this is one that I think looks really cool. And you know me, like I like horror games, but I don't always like have the patience for them because I like to move fast and like just start shooting things.
Yeah.
But with this one, I think like you said, you get a combination of both that horror like scariness, but also like the action pack that of games that I like. And this is one that I probably will try just for the sole fact I think I will have the opportunity to play fast, but also have those moments where it's like, okay, take your time, or you're gonna get like eaten by this monster, or take
Yeah.
your time, or like don't waste all your ammo because you're gonna be dead throughout the rest of the game because you're impatient. So I think that's gonna force my hand to be patient, but also give me the things I like in games.
Adam's gonna run out of ammo by like chapter 3 and just be dead in the water.
5 minutes later, I
Yeah,
found 600 rounds of ammo. 5 minutes later, I need more ammo.
I'm totally out of ammo, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is like we said, this is the game on the list that I feel like it is a first person shooter, but it's the one that I'm most excited about because they said there it is a first person shooter, but it's gonna be a little bit more focused on stealth and strategy, not just running guns blazing. So I feel like it's not going to be your basic like Call of Duty campaign where it's just shoot everything. Like it's going to take a little bit more skill and a little bit more thought. And like you said, the ammo is scarce, so I feel like it's almost more story driven, almost like a Resident Evil, where like a Resident
Right.
Evil is a first person shooter, but not like a guns blazing first person shooter. I mean,
Right,
there's
right.
different aspects to the game. So if I had
Yeah.
to like compare this to something, it feels a lot more like a Resident Evil to me than anything, and I'm super excited for that.
I wonder. So one thing with that, I wonder. So, do you think it's going to be like open? I don't want to say open world because I think it's going to be on a smaller scale. But do you think it's going to be like open in terms of like you can do this part of the mission first, just based off like being able to swim to different like environments and like different water stations, or do you think it's going to be very linear? Like, okay, you go to this one, now you go to this one, now you go to this one.
I actually don't. I think this game, along with every other game on the list that we're going to talk about today, is going to be very linear, and that if you kind of look at like the releases of small budget studios and like indie titles and stuff like that, linear seems to be the way. It just feels like they don't really have the manpower to make like an open world,
Right.
you know, like how the mainstream, you know, box office titles are. They just don't really have the manpower, so I feel like it's going to be very linear.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just kind of curious because I feel like this is a game that could have like an open, I don't want to say open world, I just think it could have an open concept, if that makes sense, like where they could like make it like it's like a loose linear, like where you can go, instead of going through this store, you can go to this one, but ultimately it leads back to this spot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they could do something like that. If you're talking like strictly open world, I would
No.
say you're probably not. But yeah, like intertwined paths where, and I talk
Yeah.
about this all the time, like Dark Souls does this all the time, where you
Yeah.
open some random door and you're like, oh, I'm back here, like it all loops
Yeah.
together, and like I feel like they could definitely do that. But you know what, like it, I don't know who's really with me on this, but I don't dislike a linear title. You know what I mean?
There's definitely games where I think are better suited for a linear version of a game rather than completely open world. There's so many games nowadays. It's like open world's the way to go, and that's not always the case. There's games where I do like the linear story and the linear like map and things like that. One example that I played recently is like Space Marine.
Yeah.
Like that game is just pure chaos, but it's linear. You just keep going, you keep blowing stuff up, and I think that it works for that type of game where you don't need an open world, and not every game needs to be an open world game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like not every game needs to be an open world. Like I love me a good linear experience. I think this game specifically with the underwater setting probably works best as a linear experience because having any type of like open world or like even a very loosely based linear kind of world is like underwater is very hard to traverse. You know what I mean? It's going to be very hard to be like, I've already been here before. You know what I mean? Because like things are always going to be looking the same. So especially in like an underwater scenario or like a scenario where you're like up in space or something like that, where everything is like very disorienting and it's hard to know where exactly you've been. I'm a big fan of just like,
Get me there.
Go forward. Just go forward.
I gotcha. I never played Alien Isolation, but that's another kind of game because that's in outer space. Have you ever played that horror game?
Alien Isolation is good, but I think it is in outer space, but it takes place mostly in the ship. You know what I mean? So
so it's like one ship. It's still is it like linear in the aspect like it's not like kind of how I've been saying it's like open concept where you can go different ways, or is it straight linear? I never played it, so
it's kind of like how you were talking about this loosely linear where there's multiple paths, but they all end up in the same spot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have an objective. And there's a few different ways to get there, but in the end, you're still just continuously moving forward. And I think doing that same type of thing for this game is going to work very, very well. I think the open world concept will get very confusing and very hard to traverse. So fingers crossed that it is a linear game so that I can make it through it and not look like a noob.
Yeah, and especially because it's first person, and Dave doesn't do so hot with first person. So
I just don't like being a set of floating hands.
That's all right. But I'm excited for this one, especially like all these games. They're going to be in a more relatively budget friendly. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many games out there, and like you look at like, okay, this one's $70. Do I really have it's not so much do I have the money to play it? Do I have the time to justify spending $70 on a game that I'll play for an hour or two and then never come back to it. So that's why I'm excited for a lot of these indie title games.
Me too, man. I love me some indie games. I love an experience. Give me a $40 experience that lasts 5 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I'm cool with that.
Great. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm not cool with though?
What?
Things that scare me.
Would you say that underwater is one of your worst fears, Adam?
No, I like underwater.
You like underwater?
Honest. Yeah, okay, side note, going on a little rabbit hole tangent here. I was going to join the Coast Guard in hopes of being a diver, like a rescue diver.
Really?
Yeah, that was like one like right out of I was my freshman year of college because I was like, I don't know if I want to be in college anymore, and that was where I was going to go. But all right, back to the topics. Things that scare me. Drafts.
Have you ever been scuba diving?
Yeah.
Really?
So the school I went to had a minor in scuba diving, and I almost did that, but my major didn't allow for that time. So like extra time, and because I was super excited. I was like, I'm gonna be like an athletic trainer and a rescue diver at the same time because it was the way it worked is the minor was each class was a different certification. Yeah, and so like the minor was a rescue diver.
Ooh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, so I didn't unfortunately have the time to do it, but I really wanted to.
There's always time, Adam. Go back.
Yeah, I should.
Go
and
back
it was actually,
for it.
And they said like, okay, we're on a super big tangent. Last thing about the scuba diving, but my friend that did it, he had like job offers from like around like the country to do it because it's so like not rare, but like it was like a prestigious like minor that just because it had so many certifications, it was cool. So
guys, in the comments, I want you guys all to just blast the comments with Adam, follow your dreams. And we're gonna get Adam to be a rescue diver.
I don't know about all that. My dream is to like you see this room? Never leave the room. That's my dream.
Well,
but that's all right.
Not gonna work well with your rescue diving. Your second dream of being a rescue diver. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway, guys, we went off on a ridiculous tangent.
Yeah.
Obviously, being underwater is something that does not scare Adam, but we are going to find out the things that scared us with our worst fear drafts. I am super excited for this, and we promised each other that we would not make fun of each other.
All right, here. I'll just let you go first because I always go first.
Gonna let me go first?
Yep.
Side note, guys, we did not discuss not making fun of each other about what we're afraid of, so I'm kind of scared for this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, number one on the things that scare me list, and it is not even close. I am going to take snakes. They are horrific. I don't care what anybody has to say. Snakes are the devil. Nothing should be able to move. Nothing should
like
be
a snake.
Nothing should be able to move like that. It doesn't make any sense, and they are horrifying. I am taking snakes, number one.
I think that's a very logical fear, especially because like a lot of those, like there's poisonous snakes, there's the snakes that can squeeze you, there's the snakes that can like end up in your like boots. There's a snake in my boot. What's the reference?
A Toy Story.
Okay, good.
Come on. All
right, that was an easy one.
But
But
you know me better than that.
all right, my first pick. I'm going to give you the phobia name. So my first pick is ranidophobia. I probably said it wrong.
Randophobia.
Ranidophobia.
What is that?
Fear of frogs.
You have a fear of frogs?
That's like, and it's not just a fear. Like it is a true phobia. Like I am petrified of frogs. The way they move, the sliminess. They're just scary little animals, and I hate them with a passion. And side story here: when I was a camp counselor, one of my coworkers found out that I'm afraid of frogs, and I had like 30 kids to myself, and he comes running up with this frog, and I just leave them. I jump over the fence and I leave, and like my boss starts screaming at me. He's like, "You need to come back." I was like, "Not until he's done with that frog." So, but yeah.
Frogs over snakes?
Oh, dude, I would pick up a snake. I won't even look at a frog. I see a frog on like a video or like even an animated frog now. I'm like,
so. Even an animated frog?
Yeah, frogs is nope, not for me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will be taking care of all the frogs. Adam will be taking care of all the snakes, and we will be good. Okay.
Good.
Number 2 on my list, ladies and gentlemen, I see now. I feel like I'm not as well prepared as you because you came with like legit like names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up all these names and we'll put them in captions or something.
Okay, sounds good.
Number 2 is going to be heights. I'm a little scared of heights. And
what a baby. So you don't like roller coasters?
I see. Okay, there's very. This is a very interesting fear of mine because it only happens at certain spots. So like roller coasters, I'm fine. In a plane, I'm fine. Which is weird because that's like the highest that you could be. But if I'm
But you can't see like I see I think I know where you're going with it. Yeah.
If I can see the ground and make out objects, I'm like high enough where I know I'm in danger, but like does that make sense?
Yeah.
At some point, you're just like so high up that it doesn't even matter anymore. But if I'm standing at like the 15th floor on a building and like looking over the edge, like my knees will literally buckle.
Start shaking. That's crazy.
Which is absolutely crazy because just a little side note, I actually had a job, if you could believe this. I was a stagehand where I would set up I would help set up the concerts and stuff that came into town. So when a concert comes into town, they hire a bunch of people that are locals to help set up the concert because it takes a lot of stuff. And one of my jobs that I did for a little while was I would walk the rafters in the arena, which was 146 feet up in the air, and you're walking on a steel I-beam like this, and you're basically what you're doing is lowering down a rope, and they're tying chains that hoist up motors that will hold all of like the lights and stuff up in the air. So that was my job for a little bit. I was literally walking around like 150 feet in the air, afraid of heights.
So Dave overcoming his fear of heights. That's pretty impressive, though.
I still hate it. Still hate it.
No, what I mean is like you were strong enough to go through it. So
yeah. But yeah, I'm taking heights. Number 2.
I'm not so much scared of heights for myself. Like I'm cool with it, but what I am scared of is my son around heights.
Yeah.
So we did like a swinging bridge. We did this. We walked it in Tennessee, and you fall off it, like there's no surviving, and like it was freaking me out. Like I had him like gripped like to my stomach, like not letting him go. I didn't let him walk it because I was like, I can't. Like that's what scared me. So not so much for myself, but for like my son with me.
Was
But
it just like open on the sides?
yeah, it was completely open.
Oh.
And so I was freaking out. And then so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna carry you, and I'm not gonna like, because normally like if it were me, I'd just straight up run across like, oh, this is so fun, and like jump on it. But not with him. That kind of scared me. But second pick, there's no name for this, but you know in the movies like neck snapping, like that's a fear of mine.
The actual like snapping sound?
Or like somebody like grabbing my head and going,
Really?
yeah. So I won't go to a chiropractor because of that. Because like
Definitely do not go to a chiropractor.
yeah, that's a huge fear of mine. Somebody like it's gotten better, but like I wouldn't let people like touch my head because I was like, oh, they're gonna snap my neck. So like, but I got a lot better about that.
I mean, it's a rational fear. I feel like it's ingrained in your DNA to not let somebody snap your neck. I feel like that's
Yeah, exactly. And like just watching all the movies and just like I know it takes more power than just like the movies like make it seem, but like that's a huge fear of mine. Just like
I actually feel like snapping necks is more of a rational fear than snakes and frogs. So that's okay. We're not gonna make fun of that one.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Number 3 for me. I do not know if this is a real thing. It probably has a word, but I don't know the name for the word. I will be taking buried alive. I don't know why, but it's definitely an irrational fear, but like one where if I even think about it, I'm just like go into full panic mode. Like I'm starting to go into full panic mode right now.
just thinking about it. Yeah, taphophobia is fear of being buried alive.
It just seems
Yeah,
awful.
that's a spooky one.
It
Yeah, I would not
seems
like that.
Awful.
That's also another rational fear. Granted, hopefully you're never in a situation where you think that's going to happen. But yeah, I understand that one. So my third one is autophobia.
What is
know what that-
autophobia?
Loneliness. I don't want to be alone.
Oh,
That's a fear of mine. Like even like there'd be times where like when I'm playing my games and stuff, I have to have the door open or like I have to have my wife sitting by me just because I don't like to be alone. And like there's an irrational fear. And like every time I hop onto the computer and if nobody like and they're not home, I'll like try to join a party with somebody that's like online. And then so if there's nobody online, I just get off. I'm like, all right, what can I do? Who can I talk to? Like that's a fear of mine.
Adam has a fear of loneliness, so he joins parties, but then also tells us stories about how when he's in COD lobbies, he's like, hey, everybody have a good game. And then the first person to respond to him, he's like, shut up.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, number 4 on my list, I am going to take drowning.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have a fear of drowning. And I know that people say, and I don't know why they say this, that drowning is a very blissful experience. I call hogwash on that. Stick your head under the water and literally hold it there until like you actually really need to take a breath and just see how like awful that is. There's no way that drowning is blissful. There is no way that drowning is blissful, and I'm terrified of it.
So that's thalassophobia, by the way, is the fear of drowning. But with that, I understand because like I think it's not so much because you'll pass out before you actually die, and I think that's why. So like once you pass out, like that's where you know what I mean? Like you have the fear, like the franticness, and then you just pass out and then you die. So maybe that's where it comes from. But who knows? We're never gonna find out. Hopefully. So yeah, that's a good one. That's another rational fear.
I real quick though, I just feel like okay, so anything where you pass out is like blissful.
I guess they also say like burning alive once your like nerve endings are like gone, like it's peaceful.
People make no sense. None of that is blissful.
Yeah, right? I don't
Yeah.
think so either. I think just falling asleep and never waking up might be the most blissful.
That is
you know what I mean? Just-
blissful. That's the
Yeah.
only one. Falling asleep
Right?
and having a great dream and not waking up.
Yeah. This one might be a little cheating, but my fourth is thanatophobia.
The fear of Marvel's Endgame movies.
Kind of. Death.
Just
Fear of
this,
death.
The fear of death.
Yeah, I don't like. I want to
feel
live
like
to like 150,
I feel like that's rational.
maybe
fear.
180. Maybe I don't know.
I feel like it should be ingrained in your DNA that you don't want to die.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
rational
yeah.
fear. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, with my last pick, and I'm gonna end it on a high note because this one might be kind of surprising. But I actually have a fear of public speaking, which is very interesting as a podcast host. But yeah, I have this fear of public speaking. If I ever have to speak in front of people, I usually get very shaky and stumble on my words, and then inside I'm just crying and wanting it to be over, and I'm very fidgety. So yeah, I'm gonna take public speaking, but it does show you that if you work on stuff like joining a podcast with your best buddy, you can kind of get over some stuff. So
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go. Best buddy. I like that. Best buddy.
well,
Yeah.
after you said about you're afraid of being lonely, I would
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're just feeling bad for me. I understand. That's funny. All right. With my last pick of the phobia draft or the scare drafts, cletrophobia.
Cletrophobia. What is that?
Yeah. Being trapped. Not
Like
so much like claustrophobia, but like somebody like strapping me down and like not letting me out.
Ooh, yeah.
Like even like you know those Chinese finger traps?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Those
get
are
so
terrifying.
like I freak out if I can't move my fingers, so I like that scares me. Also like sometimes I have to take my watch off because I feel like my wrist is like trapped. If that
I
makes
have that
sense.
too.
Yeah, like
I
I'm like
actually
okay,
get that too.
get it off my hand because I can't deal with this. Or like when my son or my dog gets on top of the blanket, and I'm under it, I freak out. Like I need out of here. So
Yeah, I do that sometimes with my chains. Like if they're it's just like something around my neck, and I just
Yeah.
feel like it's like I gotta get it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, that is not an irrational fear.
I blame this one on my father. Just saying. He used to like hold me down and like you know what I mean? Almost like parent abuse, but well, that's a topic for another day. So thanks, Dad, for cletrophobia.
Thanks for the cletrophobia, Dad.
Yeah, that's one of the
that-
only things you gave me.
That needs to be a T-shirt.
Yeah, my dad gave me cletrophobia. But that was a good draft. That was fun.
Yeah,
so now you
that's
guys all know our dark secret fears. So if you ever meet us in person, like bring Dave a snake or chase me with a frog, you'll know that you're scaring us to death. So
Or just a hearty handshake, and let's not scare each other.
yeah, right. Dave and I haven't met each other in person yet, but that's going to be our first thing. Dave's going to bring me a frog, and I'm going to bring
totally
him a microphone in front of thousands of people.
I'm totally gonna give you a frog for Christmas.
Oh, dude.
It's gonna be great.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now that you know everything that scares us, and go ahead, you know what, guys, I'm curious to know. Go ahead and put your fears in the comments. I'm curious to know what people are afraid of. You guys know some of our fears. I'm curious to hear some other ones.
Yeah, me too. All right, we
right.
actually skipped one, and that is Pigsaw Human Abattoir.
Yeah, we actually did, but it's okay. I just
Yeah,
rolled
it's
with
all right.
it. Did you?
Yeah, we
see
did
it?
too.
I just rolled with it. It was good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Pigsaw, Human Abattoir, and I'm gonna let Adam take this because the first thought that I had when Adam sent this game over and I looked over at the trailer was, Adam, what in the heck are you sending me?
Okay, to be fair, like I said at the beginning, I didn't look at the game that I sent you. I was like, because I was in the car, like, and I was like, all right, let me look at these before I get to work, and then boom, I was like, Pigsaw, Beneath, and Project Z. I was like, indie horror, like, look at them, and you're like, yeah, those are cool. So I was like, all right, let's go with it. So Pigsaw is actually an installment of a game that was released in August.
That was my question, actually.
Yeah.
Is this a sequel or a remake or a remaster?
So I think the first one was a small, like it wasn't a full experience. Where this one is promising to be a full experience, like a full game, and it's again kind of going along with everything. It's a survival horror game. It's going to be a combination of stealth and action. And yeah, so you're going to play as a person that's trapped in a nightmarish human abattoir. And so yeah, but let's kind of pull up the trailer from there.
Who are the enemies?
The pigs with saws. Pigsaw.
Who are the enemies?
Here's the trailer.
Pigs
Another
with
quick
saws.
one. Yeah. So here's the trailer. Actually, like the first thing I like thought of is like kind of it's like a play on Saw, but it's a pig. And then I saw the end of it, and it's a pig with a saw. So right here, it gives you like the vibes of like a Saw movie / game, right?
Yeah, he's got like the trap on his face. This part,
Yeah.
Like, is that like, a euthanasia? Like a
I don't know. Did he like just pull out his brain with it? I don't know. It's kind of funny.
I kind of see it as like, you know, in the slaughterhouse where they kind of like do like the last shot.
Oh yeah, maybe.
That's what, like, this is the vibe I'm getting from it. Is like the pigs have flipped the script, and now you're in like a human slaughterhouse.
Yeah, I think that's exactly kind of what it's going for. And then here he is,
scary.
Mr. Pigsaw himself.
I legitimately thought the trailer was over, and that jump scared me pretty good.
So yeah, that's the game. It's one of those questions like, why is this a game, and like, how did they come up with something like this? But from what I read, is like people actually really enjoyed like the Pigsaw game, like the first one, and now that they're go ahead.
Are you saying the first one is 2023? Because I found one all the way back in 2020.
Oh, maybe. Oh, that's probably what it was. I probably added the 3 on accident, and I was really confused as I saw that. So maybe that's what it was.
I think you're right though too, because I think the original Pigsaw game was released in 2020, and then it got a remaster on Steam in August 2023.
Oh, maybe that's where I saw. Yeah, because like when I did like a Google search and like looked on Steam, it says August 2023. But I'm wondering. Oh yeah, here we go. 2020.
Yeah, because if you look on YouTube, there's a video from 2020 of like the world record.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
it's definitely 2020 or earlier. So, but it was really released on Steam not too long ago in August. So
is this another remaster or is this a sequel?
I think this is a sequel in terms of like it's going to be a more complete game, is from what I've read. But overall, I just kind of got the vibes of like Saw and trying to like get out of there, but with a little bit more like, what am I trying to say? More ability to fight back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not such a defensive game because you're walking around with like a pipe and like a shotgun and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a combination of melee and shootable weapons. Is that what it'd be? Firearms. Shootable weapons.
Shootable weapons.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like on the fence with this game. I don't know if it's a game that I'm actually interested in. Like I said, I just threw some at you and it's like, pick some that you like. And for this one, I'm not too sure. Yeah.
It's definitely a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going with like the reverse slaughterhouse type of tactic, or do you think this is more of a game kind of as like a spoof of the Saw movies? Because I'm getting both vibes watching the trailer.
I think it's kind of a reverse play, like you said, like with the like. All right, normally the pigs are in the slaughterhouse, but given like the barcodes on their arms and the fact there's so many cages of people, so maybe this is like a world where like pigs rule the humans rather than the humans rule the pigs, and so
that's kind of what I was thinking. And you're like the one human that like broke free, and you're like you're like breaking free from the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, it's like instead of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, it's the rise of the pork.
This is the rise of the porkers.
Yeah, the rise of the porkers. So maybe that's kind of the vibe it has. Is like, like it's a revolt against the pigs. I don't know. It's a very interesting game. The mechanics of it, it's like we said, it's gonna be first person survival horror. You're gonna have to fight your way out, find weapons. One thing I did see though, so you can either fight or you can just run.
Yeah. saw
I
that
wonder.
too.
Yeah, so I think there's gonna be options of kind of both of like a jump scare and then kind of like how we were talking. It's gonna have elements of jump scare and then just like action. So
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like Quake or like the original Doom or something like that. Like that's kind of the vibes that I get from it. And I think like that kind of format, what do they call that? Boomer shooter?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of format just like appeals to me just because I have nostalgia for that type of stuff. You know, like I played Doom on PC, like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like so I think anything with that format is still going to be kind of fun. I think it'll be a fun game. And it's definitely very interesting. The pig is scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
The pig
yeah.
is scary. I'm not gonna
It's a
lie.
new fear. New fear.
We have a new. I'm gonna replace public speaking with pigs with chainsaws
Yeah.
on my list if I could.
Let's see if there's a fear of pigs. Swine. Oh, swinophobia. So like a swine flu. That yeah. Or
Yeah, that
wait,
makes
swine
sense.
is that that is pork, right? Swine flu is pork, not chicken.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. So that makes sense, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
all
fear
of you
pigs.
out there with your swinophobia, do not play Pigsaw.
Yeah, this is not a game for you. And I
This
don't
is-
know if it's a game for me. I'm kind of like a sideways thumbs down, maybe thumbs down, but who knows? I'll give it a shot. So
I probably won't go out of my way to play this game.
Yeah.
If this is a game that drops on like the PlayStation Network is like my free game of the month or something
Right,
like that,
yeah.
like I'll give it a shot because I think it'll
Right.
be funny. But yeah, I'm probably not gonna go out of the way to play this game, but I know this game does have like a little bit of a cult following of people that really enjoyed it. So there are some people looking out for it. And if you're one of those people, get ready because it is coming very, very soon.
very soon.
Very soon.
Dracula. Moving on to our last game of the night, Project Z Beyond Order. What do you
I'm-
think, Dave?
I might crap on this game a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Go for it. Let me hear it. Let me hear
Let's
it.
go. Let's go ahead and roll the trailer because I think what I'm gonna crap on, people need to see a little bit. Well, I
Okay.
think me crapping on it is going to gonna give it away. So we might as well look at the trailer. Okay,
All right. So here it is.
guys, if you're just listening on the Spotify, what we're looking at is a World War II first-person shooter
Yep.
with zombies.
Yeah, similar to what would you call Call of Duty? But,
Similar,
okay.
similar to Call of Duty zombies.
Right. Before you crap on it, let me describe it a little bit and
Go
kind of
ahead.
go
Go
into
ahead.
what this game is actually going to be. So, again, like the other two games we've talked about already, or actually we don't know about Creepshow, but first-person zombie co-op shooter set in World War II. Reminds you of Call of Duty World at War, but that's for another time. It's going to have two different game modes. There's the core game mode, which is going to be more of the story-based and things like that. And then the survival mode, so that's that wave-based, kind of like a Call of Duty zombies. But with the core, it's going to be kind of like the way I thought of it is Escape from Tarkov. The way like you'll have
Yep.
or Fallout, and you'll have like the base system where like you have the hideout, you can level it up, you're able to customize your weapons in there, and other consumables, build structures, and like I said, similar to that Fallout 4. And the missions are going to be a story arc, and each can kind of influence each other depending on which order you do them, which I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of cool.
I do like that.
Yeah. So the example they give, let's say one mission you clear the sewer system that leads, and that will lead to like a different type of zombie being in a different mission because you let those zombies out from that mission. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's very dynamic.
Yeah, which I thought that was really neat. And then the basic survival was like I said, like the Call of Duty, there's waves, you'll upgrade weapons and characters between waves of enemies. And so that's like the basics of the game. Now, Dave, I know you're going to crap on it, but I think this is kind of a cool like idea in terms of like the dynamic like story arc. However, it does feel very like copied, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's do a little bit of a 50-50 here because I'm gonna crap on it a little bit and I'm also gonna give it praise. Let's start with the bad so that we can end on a good note.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
The bad is that the enemies are zombies and Nazis.
Yeah, like Nazi zombies, like Call of Duty.
Like the two most cliche enemies for a first person shooter, zombies and Nazis put together into one game.
I think it's not very original if you're going with that. I definitely,
No.
like when I did watch it, I was like, okay, the game sounds cool. And then I was like, okay, but it's been done before. It's been done a
million
lot.
times
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying with that. Yeah, other than to say that it's been done before, there's not much else to say about it. I will say, like, mechanically wise, the game looks good. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of, like, the customization and, like, the hideout situation. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
right.
Okay.
Is that the only thing you're crapping on?
That's I'm crapping on that. That's the only thing I'm crapping on, but I think it's a big thing.
So
Like,
you're like dumping on it. Like you're
I'm dumping on the lack of originality there.
yeah, and you're like
Yeah.
forgetting to wipe, so you use like the game. You know? Okay, I'm done.
I mean, dude, zombies and Nazis, it's like the two most cliche things that you could ever put into a video game. It's so lame.
Yeah, I understand.
It's
Okay.
so lame. Okay, but anyway, let's go into the good aspects because I do feel like there are some good aspects. Like
let's
you
hear it.
said, I do really like the dynamic feel of the missions. It gives it a lot of replay value, so you can do things differently. And I do really like that. Like you said, it's a very Fallout style. I love when games give you like a home base and
Yeah.
you can like upgrade that home base and like build stuff and like I love when games give you that ability to be able to have that in an indie game is actually very impressive because if you look at like the dynamics that go into being able to do that, it's not something typically that a small scale studio can pull off with a small team because there's a lot that goes into that. Like in Fallout and stuff like that, it makes sense, but for a studio like this one to be able to introduce that feature, I think is very impressive, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you with that one. It's like I love the ability to like you said, have those bases or some level of customization. It doesn't have to be much for me, to be honest. Like I don't need like what did you say, preset A for you? Like that's what your go to preset 4 or something like that.
Yeah, you know what though? Like it's funny that like my character dynamic, I couldn't care less, but my home base dynamic,
Right.
you better watch out. Like
Yeah.
my character in Hogwarts was preset B, but when you got the ability to unlock your own special room, watch out, dude. I would spend hours in my room like, oh, this needs to be green. This should go with like, a gothic ceiling. I was just like this absolute craziness.
That's how I felt in Starfield too. Like I was like, okay, this guy kind of looks like me. Okay, I'm done. And then like it took me like 5 minutes, but like I went with the I can't remember the name of like my trait, but it gave me a house from the beginning. I was like, okay, I need to put everything I want in this house from the start. Like whatever I find, I'm going right back to my house. Put things where I want it, have the things where I can craft things. And yeah, I know how you feel with that. And then like even like Minecraft, when I used to play that, I'm like survival mode, I couldn't play very much because I'm like, okay, this takes too long to like make it the way I want. And so I like the way I played Minecraft is like I'd build myself like an epic house and like different rooms and things like that. And then I'd switch it from creative to survival just so I had like a base to start with.
Yeah, just so you have like a base, like a home camp.
I never started with like a bunch of materials. Like I built the base and then I like started. Like I didn't give myself like bunch of extras, but that's how I played Minecraft. And I think that's gonna be really cool with this game. It's like you're gonna go into a mission like, oh, I found this, I'm gonna put this in my base, or I found this, now I can upgrade my guns, now my gun station. I think that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, and I think like I do feel like the base stuff it's not gonna be, it feels like it's not gonna be all cosmetic. Like it does feel like you said, like you're gonna be able to upgrade weapons and stuff like that. Like it's going to have a purpose in the game. And like, you know, I hate to go back to it, but like Hogwarts was kind of the same way, but not so much. It was like 90% cosmetic, but of course you could like you could get like your plant stations and your potion stations and stuff like that, like stuff that would help you throughout the game. So it wasn't only cosmetic based; it did serve a purpose. And I feel like if those cosmetic based features serve even the tiniest purpose in like excelling in the game, I'm very into that, and I don't know why, but I love it.
Yeah, that's a fun part of games. Just like it's like adding your personality to the game. You know what I mean? Like that's why I like customization and things like that. So even like I've been playing wildcard football, like a bunch of that, and just having the fact that I can have random uniforms like that don't make sense in football at all. But it's like this is how I would like a random fake team to look like in terms of if it's like an arcade. So like that's cool, and like games that do that are really cool.
Yeah,
another thing I really like
is the experience. It makes it your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like I have the Nerd City Nerds in our in Wildcard Football, just so you know. But another thing I think is cool about this game, and I know it's not your cup of tea, but it is co-op.
It is indeed co-op. So I believe you're going to have 4 characters in your team, right?
Yep.
So it's
something
up to
like that.
Person I believe it's up to 4-person co-op, and you're gonna have 4 characters. So each character is gonna have their own kind of unique set of skills.
Yep.
I'm like a little nervous to throw that information out there because I couldn't really confirm it. So guys, don't quote me on that, but I do believe it's gonna be 4-person co-op with 4 different people.
Right, and I think kind of going with that, like you said, I think there's going to be multiple survivors you can pick from, or different abilities that you'll be able to pick from, like a good diverse crew is what it says, with different unique abilities. And the main mission of the game is, like, you stumble, like, I know it's cliche, but you're unraveling the secrets of a Nazi-controlled island, so...
Yeah, basically what I saw is that the Nazis have found an island full of zombies and are, like... turning them into weaponized Nazi soldiers. So
yeah, cliche at its finest, there, folks.
Just go ahead and go to Google and type in most cliche video game theme, and that's the one that will pop up.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny. But other than that, I think this is I know last game I had more of a thumbs down. This is kind of tilting thumbs up for me, just because of the fact of the customization, the co-op. And the fact, like, the weapon crafting is kind of cool. So I'm cool with that. I think
this is going to be a game that you're going to be into, honestly.
I think
feel
so.
Like this is going to be almost like a Division.
No, it's not. No, not that big.
I mean, I'd, like, downscale it, but I feel like the mechanics are there. Don't you feel like the mechanics are there?
I think they have potential to be there for sure.
I mean, obviously, it's not going to be like Division 3, but it's like...
Yeah, Division 3, oh my goodness. We're not gonna. That's all we're gonna talk about once Division 3 comes out. Adam, what's your topic for the week? Division 3.
Division 3. New stuff that I found in Division 3.
Yeah, I found this cool jacket that does nothing for me yet, but
guys, here are 7 tips of how to maximize your character in Division 3.
Yeah. Adam, like, there's 50 new games coming out. I don't care. Here's 50 new tips for Division 3. But that's funny. Yeah. I'm excited for that, but I am excited for this one. This is one I will probably get sideways. It's tilting up. Yeah, sure. We'll give it that.
Adam's going to get this one, and I will watch him play it, and I will not get it, but it's okay.
Yeah. Alrighty, dude. That was a very fun episode today.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and the fact that we have everybody knowing our fears is kind of a bad but good thing too.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't put that out there on the internet.
But we did. Now everybody knows. So our friends are gonna find it, like our IRL friends, and they're gonna like torment us for the rest of our lives. So
my friends are just gonna start sending me snakes and booking trips to mountain climbing excursions.
Right, that, and then they'll trick you, like, oh, we're gonna go to this presentation, but you're gonna be the one speaking.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the public speaker. They're gonna sign me up for like all types of panels and stuff. It's gonna be great.
And my wife is just gonna shut off her phone and leave for like a week, and I'm not gonna have anybody. I hope nobody kills me. So I hope I hope that fear doesn't come to life. But however, this is a great episode. Very fun topics. Very interesting indie horror games. But yeah, to go with our spooky October. So
I love spooky October.
Yeah, it's fun. It is fun.
Yeah. How much candy have you eaten already?
0. I have a 3-year-old, man. I gotta kind of make sure it doesn't come into, like, you know what I mean? He's gotta protect his teeth.
I've gone to the store to buy a Halloween candy for trick-or-treaters twice and have eaten
Oh,
both
no.
gigantic bags. that I've eaten, so.
My neighborhood isn't the best for trick or treaters, so I probably won't have too many trick or treaters here.
Somebody please stop me from buying bags of candy and just eating it myself.
You can always send me the candy. I'm just
No,
kidding. All right,
me neither.
let's get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Guys, thank you so much for everything. We love you guys very, very much. Quick shout out, you guys did get us to the 600 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. We super appreciate it. Thank you for everything. We're making that push. We're making that push towards 1,000. So if you guys want to help out in any ways that you could, we would super appreciate it. Share with your friends, share with your family. If you're watching and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. Love you guys. Thank you. Adam, what you got for him?
If you're not following us on all social media platforms, please make sure to do so. Let's Talk Nerdy Podcast. And check out our website, letstalknerdypodcast.com, to find all the greatest Let's Talk Nerdy merch.
The best.
Best.
The best there ever was. Look out for the Lords of the Fallen Let's Play coming very, very soon. Check out the Wildcard Football review if you have not done so already, and we will see y'all on the next one.
Peace out, nerds. Nerds. Woo.